Don't be so hard on yourself when you're evaluating your relationships as a sensitive person. Hi, my name is Leah Chantel. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm talking about how we tend to be way too hard on ourselves as sensitive people, and we beat ourselves up when we're evaluating our relationships. And there are a lot of relationship coaches on the internet who are really guilty of this as well, where they have a whole coaching model designed to beat everybody up and tell them how bad they are and that they need to improve their relationships. And while sometimes direct feedback and telling people what they're doing is not working can be constructive and helpful, when you're giving people a bad name for their behavior, it actually reinforces the bad behavior and ingrains it as an identity. And people think, oh, I'm using discipline to get them to change, but you're actually just reinforcing the bad habit. Like if you are telling someone that they are a B word because they did something wrong in their relationships, maybe they nagged their partner or they pushed them for marriage and it wasn't the right time yet, or whatever dastardly thing the person did. So when you call them out in that way and you call them a B word or a nasty name of some kind, then you're actually reinforcing that identity. You're reinforcing that reality in society. And I've even seen it sometimes where some relationship coaches are very heteronormative. They don't like people who have disabilities or they have different sexualities, like they could be gay or lesbian, etc., or bisexual, whatever it is. And then they say something nasty about that type of subgroup in our culture. And the thing that happens is not only is it wrong to do, because you shouldn't attack vulnerable groups of society like that, and I believe all of those groups are vulnerable and deserve to be defended, but also what happens when they do that is they actually reinforce the behavior that they don't want to see in society. So in a weird way, they are reinforcing that reality for themselves, that that's happening, but in a negative way that really disempowers themselves. So it doesn't make any sense. And in the same way, when we beat ourselves up for our relationship mistakes, that also doesn't make sense. We are actually becoming more of the identity that we're trying to avoid. So in order to avoid feeding the bear, and you want to instead feed the goodness, feed the positivity, feed the constructive relationships that are working for you in your life, you have to learn to steer your focus. You've got to stop looking at the wrong things. At some point, the wrong things and learning about them, yes, it helps us reflect and correct ourselves. But then at some point, we have to let go of those negative behaviors and steer ourselves toward the positive behaviors. So there's this great analogy for driving, and that is people are looking in the wrong place, and so they steer into the thing that they don't want to hit. Like they see that signpost on the side of the road, and then they are drunk and they're driving really fast, and then because they're scared of the signpost on the road, they actually steer themselves right into it and wrap their car around that telephone pole or around that sign. And the reason why this happens is because people are focusing on the wrong thing. The higher speed you go in your car, actually the more narrowly focused you need to be on the horizon or where you want to go. You can't be looking at the sidewalk. So yes, if you made a mistake when you're driving and you've pulled over and you're stopping to reflect on what mistake did I make driving today? Was I going too fast? Was I looking in the wrong place? Was I going through the red light? Like, yes, there is a benefit to stopping and just evaluating what went wrong and making sure you don't do it again. But when you go back into the car to start driving again, then you want to focus on the horizon. And it's the same with our relationships. Absolutely taking time out, being single, reflecting on what went wrong in the last relationship. That's going to help us understand how we can do better in the future. But then at some point when we're jumping back on that horse or getting back into the dating scene, we have to also let go of all those negativities, all those things we learned. And I can be quite obsessive and knowledgeable about these things, so I can go on and on about my analysis about why this relationship didn't work or why people are meeting each other the way that they do later in life or in their 20s and etc. When I'm actually dating and getting to know a new person, I have to let all of this thought process go. I keep it for writing. I keep it for sharing with people who are in this phase where they're looking for a new relationship. Absolutely. And I do share it with people. But in my own personal life, when I found a happy relationship, I actually need to pull back on some of that feedback and some of that advocacy unless it pops up again. If I notice my partner doing something strange and I should be paying attention, then yes, I'll think about all of those strategies that I've learned before, and I'll self-reflect to make sure first that I haven't done something to mess up the relationship. And I can mess up a relationship very, very quick, I have noticed. Like, I can be just a little bit tired and a little bit mindless, and for a split second I will go off nagging and I don't even realize it. And it's only for like 2 or 3 seconds. But now I'm catching myself where I'm realizing in that 2 or 3 seconds, I said something I shouldn't have. And it's nothing major. It just might be like a criticism, like I want this kitchen appliance here or something to that nature. But I also want to realize that this is not helpful. I have to let this go. Most important thing is that you've got a happy, healthy, constructive relationship. Not that you don't have this appliance that I like in the kitchen, right? So that's my point for today. We have to look at the horizon and we have to look ahead. And at some point, we have to let go of all of the negativities that have ever happened. We have to stop obsessing about the narcissist. We have to relax into a new relationship, or else we're never going to have any. And it's okay to make that choice to not have any. You might decide that, hey, I'm focused on a different mission in life. I want to be single, so I can spend a lot more time at my temple or my church or wherever it is you want to go to spend your time. Absolutely, you can make that choice from an empowering place, and I would support that. But then there are other people who are sitting off by themselves. They're not really doing anything, and they're complaining about their previous relationships and how bad the other gender is, blah, blah, blah. So when you're in that position, I don't recommend that. I actually recommend that you keep working on yourself and keep striving to be in a happy, healthy relationship. Unless you've decided to become Mother Teresa and go to India and do your mission, and it serves you to be alone and it's easier in order to fulfill your mission. If you don't have a big mission going on, probably working on your relationships is a good idea, right? Because most of us in our secular day-to-day lives are going to be in some kind of relationship one way or the other. Even if we choose to just simply date and treat people with respect but not pursue any serious relationships, that can be a choice too. But even then, you want to make sure you're treating people kindly and you're giving them the right messages so they know what you expect from a dating interaction. Then your personal life will be really happy and balanced.